Everyone. I just saw a video, if we were all sitting in the same room, that had 30 logos flash across the screens here. And in seeing that, I got extremely excited. Did you not get excited? Well, you don't sound like you got excited. And not only did I get excited, but when I came up, I said good afternoon as if I was excited and it was a great day thus far. So good afternoon. That's what I'm talking about. Great. So, thank you, Zanola. And I just tell you, Zanola shared some great information with all of you. There are some of you under the sound of, obviously, my voice that just were recognized for being awarded to go forward with the Terminal A project. We're excited. More is that important. That's very important because of the fact, if in fact there's a question specific to food and beverage, let's say, now you got your food and beverage subject matter expert that can help to resolve any concerns. If it's retail, now you got your retail manager from the concessions department. At the same time, when we talk about design, operational flow, in our concessions department, as you will recall, we have tenant project coordination teams, okay? Our team is a very, very strong team from an expertise standpoint, dealing with construction build-out, the flow of kitchens and things of that nature. So they're able to look at what you're proposing from a design element and from an operational flow, and if there are any questions there, now they can engage to help the selection committee. So would you not agree with me, when you look at these three tiers, reviewing your proposal, that it has a fair and equitable look-see that you would like to have someone look at? Would you not agree with that? Okay, we're still saying yes. Are we saying yes? I just want to be certain. See, some are saying yes, some are saying no, but maybe it won't do. Yes or no? Okay, we're good, right? So let's move on. Okay, now Ron Duncan is going to talk more about when, in fact, you're submitting your proposal, this selection committee that's reviewing your information, what they're going to be looking for.
Thank you, Michael. All right. So, how to write a proposal. Now, I want to make something very clear. I respect the fact that you guys in this business have been doing this for years, that you've submitted proposals over and over and over again. And so the information I want to share with you is not to necessarily take away from the experiences you've had in submitting good proposals. It is to supplement that information and hopefully give you some guidance in what we're looking for. We've got quite a challenge, and I think in some ways our process is unique because, as Michael pointed out, 154 concepts had to be evaluated. How many times do you know of a situation like that exists, where you're having that many proposals in a very fixed area being considered for a contract or a lease award? I don't think that happens very often. So it's quite a challenge for the evaluation team to come and review every one of those proposals, because the challenge for us and the commitment from DFW Airport is that if you take the time to submit a proposal, that we have the obligation to give it a fair review and to do our very best to score it appropriately and make sure that we have an understanding of what your proposal is, what you want to do for DFW Airport, and more importantly, what you want to do for our customers who are going to visit your shops, visit your restaurants, and participate in your business. So some of the information I'll give you seems quite academic, but I want to go over it anyway. Provide the information that we are asking for in the tabs that are directed. The reason I point that out is, again, we are reviewing information. You've got an evaluation team. They just got 154 proposals, concepts. They've got a lot of data to review, and they're trying to review it in a very organized fashion. And in order for them to do that and to do it efficiently and do it effectively And to make sure that we gather all of the information you intended for us to receive, we need to get that information in the tabbed area that we've requested that information to be placed in. It helps us, frankly, to do some comparative analysis. And so it's very important that your information be well organized, and a key component to that is to make sure it's appropriately tabbed in the right location. Adhere to the page limits provided. There are page limits for a reason. Again, I'll go back, 154 concepts. That's a lot of data. There are some companies, I tell you, I remember I saw a proposal for medical services at DFW Airport. The document was 4 inches thick. There is no way that we could effectively evaluate a concessions concept if all the proposals that we received are 4 inches thick. It would take us years. The terminal would already be fully renovated if we did something like that. So we do have page limits. Part of the reason we have that is we want you to succinctly give us the information we need, and we want you to focus on responses in an airport environment. We understand there's going to be some general concepts, but we need to have an understanding of how your concept is going to work in an airport environment. Now, what does that mean? Okay. All right. Proposal deposit. Every concept requires a proposal deposit. If you want to propose on 3 concepts, that's 3 separate checks for $10,000, 1 for each concept. And then what the airport does is we take that check, we do deposit the check, and then when the process is complete and the selection has been made, we make arrangements for the airport to write you a check for $10,000 for each one of those concepts that you submitted a proposal for. Any proposal received that doesn't have a deposit will be rejected. So, meet the deadline for questions and recommendations as well as proposals submitted. If you got questions, Sanji's your lady. And she's more than willing to help. She helps to coordinate that information that you provided. It could be a question about the concept, which we would work with our concessions department to respond. It could be a question relating to insurance requirements, which we'll get our risk management department involved. Sanji's charge is to basically take your questions, work with the concessions team, and also any other department that we need to work with in order to get you the right answer. And we will do our very dead level best to make sure we give you a prompt and effective answer to your question. But I will tell you this, we do reserve the right to not respond to a question. So sometimes people will ask questions, and frankly, we just cannot disclose the information. So we'll be very mindful that we will answer as many questions as we can, because we know that answering those questions enhances our ability to get a responsive proposal. Late proposals will not be considered. Late means late. And Michael talked about it just a few minutes ago. If you're 1 minute late, we will not accept it. I will tell you that in the last round, we did get a late proposal. And the result was that proposal concept was sent back to them unopened. So it does happen. And we've heard every reason in the world. Got stuck in traffic. Car broke down, whatever the reason we've heard. I encourage you to get yours in a day early. Get it in a day early. How relaxing will it be if you just get it in a day early? You don't have to worry about that. You know it's there. I will tell you this, again, day early is acceptable. A minute late is unacceptable. And just like we did before, we took that person's hard work on that concept and handed it right back to her. We didn't have a choice. Make sure your proposal's in on time. Make your proposal easy to follow and easy to evaluate. Don't be too dependent on broad statements, general marketing language, or other generic statements or canned presentations. Now, we understand that a lot of your companies do have a marketing department or division, or you partner with people who help in your group market your company. And we do also understand that there's some value to some generic information provided about your company. But again, we're not looking for a totally generic statement about how your company is going to have the shop open or a restaurant open here at the airport. Again, we understand there's some of that information that can be valuable, but we want to have an understanding of how your concept will work in an airport environment. And you can't do that simply by giving us a canned presentation. You need to be able, I guess there's the old saying, you need to sell the sizzle and not the steak. I would say you got to sell the sizzle and the steak. You got to have the steak, you got to have the meat, but you also got to be able to sell the sizzle. And the sizzle in this case, in my opinion, is you got to be able to sell it in a DFW airport concept. How will it service our airport customers? How are they going to get excited about your business being in one of our locations? So again, that you can make money and that the airport can maximize its opportunity to make money as well. Now, be careful about cutting and pasting from other proposals and projects. And believe me, folks, I understand that. That is a common practice. And frankly, it's a very acceptable practice. What's not acceptable is when you see a different client's name in your proposal. You're reading along, and then all of a sudden you see City of Dallas. Well, this is DFW Airport. I don't need something from City of Dallas. Or Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. Well, okay, you know what? This is not a concept for Atlanta Hartsfield Airport. Be careful and proofread your work. Make sure that if you are going to use data from previous proposals, and again, I understand that's an effective tool in building up a proposal, but proofread it, word search it, make sure that you've got the right airport identified and that you got the right locations identified. Believe me, I see some people smiling, and I'll tell you the reason why you're smiling. We've seen things like this. I've been doing this business for 20 years, and I see these things happen. Frankly, I don't see them happen often, but you don't want to be the one to make that impression on any of the evaluation teams that you're cutting and pasting proposals. Is this thing working? Okay, basically in looking at a proposal, step one is to conform to the minimum requirements. Obviously, they're called minimums for a reason. If you don't conform to the minimum requirements, your proposal will not be considered. And those are part of the RFP package. You should have an understanding of what those minimum requirements are. And again, I want to make the point here that when you submit your proposal, you don't have a second opportunity to make a great first impression. A lot of times people will say, I'm going to put something in a proposal, but not quite complete. And, you know, when I get my proposal in, we can negotiate that piece. We can discuss that as part of my proposal submittal. Well, if you don't make that point in your RFP, in your proposal, you may not get the opportunity to make that first impression again. It's very important that you put your best foot forward, and that while they're negotiable, a competitive and responsive proposal is absolutely necessary for you to get your foot in the door and have that opportunity to interview and to negotiate with the airport staff.